Welcome to the Gabrielle Lara Show podcast. This podcast is a safe space for new and aspiring service-based entrepreneurs. Gabrielle is a niche coach, and her unscripted podcast walks you through the highs and lows of entrepreneurship and how to navigate the in-between. You can expect a mix of business strategies and personal development tips to help you get to the next level with a little bit of spirituality sprinkled in as well. Get cozy and please stay a while. You are more than welcome here. So if you guys have been following me for some time, then you know that I say the word niche about 5 million times a day. That's what I do. I help people find their niche. I help them turn it into a thriving coaching business. Now, here's the thing that a lot of people don't mention when it comes to niching down, right? It only works for you if you own the crap out of it. And I emphasize the owning part. And I'm going to walk you through in this podcast what I mean by that and how you can implement it so that we can make sure that you niching down is working for you. Because what I find that a lot of people are doing is that they have their coaching keyword, right? Like Gabrielle Niche Coach. They have their I help statement, like I help you find your niche and turn your story into a thriving coaching business, right? They have that. And then I go to read their content, and their content is all over the place. It's not speaking to their niche. It's not speaking to the specific person that they are targeting. It's speaking to everyone. For example, if your niche is new moms, right? And let's say that you help new moms put their babies on a schedule so that they get more sleep at night, right? Great niche, awesome niche. And then I go to read your content and you are speaking to everyone. How to achieve your goals, right? How to live your best life, how to live your dream life, 5 things to start a business, right? Just completely off of your niche. Or you're speaking to moms in general. What to do like when you have teenagers, how to transition your kid to college. You're no longer speaking to the new mom that you're targeting in your Instagram bio and your I help statement. You're speaking to everyone. So that is one of the biggest problems I see when people come to me with their niche. Usually they have no clue what their niche is, but if they're more of an existing business, they have their niche and it's not doing any favors for them. But the reason why it's not doing any favors for them is because they're not doing favors for themselves by speaking to everyone. Especially, and I emphasize this, especially if you are just stepping into the coaching space and in the online world. There is no secret that it is saturated. And do not let that turn you away, because what that tells me is there's a strong market for it. And you want to be all over that. And even if you are just starting tonight, right? Tomorrow morning, you are just starting, you can make it without a freaking doubt. I see it every single day. Every single day. Your market is out there. But you will get lost in the noise incredibly quickly if your content and your niche is not cohesive. It must be cohesive. You must speak to that person that you're highlighting in your I help statement. In this example, new moms, every single piece of content must be targeted to them for you to fully own it. So that's step 1 to you owning your niche, right? So it's not just saying your I help statement and then talking to everyone. Owning the crap out of it. And I feel like I will say that 1,000 times on this podcast episode, but I cannot emphasize it enough. The next thing you want to do is to make sure that if you change your I help statement, or if you're just putting one out, you want to make sure that your website copy matches. So most of the time when I do my niche intensives with people and say they already have an existing business with a website and, content, etc., I always say, announce your pivot, but wait until you update your website copy, your landing page copy, your sales page copy. Everything must be updated that people can click to go see. Because the second they see your I help statement and like your Instagram information's cohesive, and you're a coach for new moms, and then they hop on your website and you're a life and a business coach, like you immediately lose it right there, right? You lose the trust, you lose the authority that you've been building, you lose the relatability factor. They no longer feel seen and heard. It's a simple fix, right? Like listening to this, it might be like, oh crap, I have to go do that. It sounds like a simple fix, but a lot of people are leaving money on the table by not addressing it and just updating their I help statement, their Instagram bio, and then just chugging away with content and really not making their person feel seen and heard, or confusing them because you hook them in with your I help statement and your coaching keyword, and then you lose them when you start going through your content. So, what I want you to do is take an audit of your Instagram right now and take an audit of your website. Is your messaging cohesive? Is everything aligned? Do you still feel in alignment with your niche, right? And what you've been speaking to? Or if you're just getting started, right? Does it feel aligned? Go through and make sure everything's cohesive. And then I want you to go through your content and say, have I been making my person feel seen and heard? Have I been speaking directly to them in every single piece of content I put out there? Like for me, go to my Instagram and you're going to see the word niche a billion times throughout my content because that's what I help people do, right? I say new coaches a lot because I primarily help new coaches. All of that. Like I was recently helping somebody in a niche intensive, and she has this awesome niche. She is helping Black women find themselves again after they've lost themselves and find that inner peace. Stop overworking, right? Stop trying to prove themselves. And her story relates so closely to that. It's incredibly empowering. I loved hearing her story. And now I was telling her, like, every single piece of content that you put out there must speak to that dream customer. It must speak to that Black woman who feels like she is overworking, who feels like she has to people please, who feels like she has to continuously prove herself. So she's burning herself out and she's losing herself. Every piece of content, because that is the power of niching. Now, if her I help statement said, I help Black women who've lost themselves find that inner peace, and then in her content, she's speaking to everyone. She's speaking to all women out there, right? Her dream customer in her head, who she ideally wants to help, isn't going to feel seen and heard because it's not speaking directly to them. But if her dream customer, a Black woman who's being overworked, right, who feels like she has to prove herself, lands on her page and she sees a bunch of reels and IG lives and shareable quotes and carousels that are really speaking directly to what this woman is experiencing. And she's sprinkling in her story on top of that of how she's experienced it and what she did to get to the other side. It will resonate a million times more because that woman feels seen and heard. She says, thank goodness, I have found my person that I want to help me. That what she just described is exactly what I am going through right now. That is the power of niching. And I find that so often people get scared to do that, right? They kind of beat around the bush a little bit because they're scared to go all in. And what I have found after working with many, many, many clients around this is the story part. So, as you guys probably know, I take a different approach to finding your niche, and I find it through your story. I think it should come from something that you have experienced, especially if you are a coach or a service provider. So, what comes with that and what comes with owning your niche is sharing your story. And for a lot of people, that is hard for a lot of different reasons, right? For really personal reasons, because a lot of people's stories have pain in them, right? It brings up trauma that we don't want to experience again. And it also brings up some really beautiful transitions that we've been through in our lives. Maybe, people are apprehensive to get on video and talk about themselves. They don't want to hear like they sound like they've been taught, like they're just talking about themselves, right? But when you leave the story part out of owning your niche, you're leaving a lot of money and impact that you could be making on the table. And you are leaving out the fact that you could help somebody who is a past version of you back when you were struggling feel seen and heard. I want you to think about your niche right now. And I want you to think about, I always suggest that if you are a new coach kind of breaking into the space and you're struggling with your dream customer, have your dream customer be a past version of yourself. And I want you to ask yourself, if you, let's say the 2016 version of you landed on your Instagram page right now, would you feel seen and heard? And if the answer is no, I want you to ask yourself why. And I'm going to make the assumption here that it's probably because you're not really sharing your experience. And when it comes to sharing your story, and when it comes to sharing your experience, of course there's boundaries. Of course there are boundaries within that. So you have to get comfortable on what you do feel comfortable sharing, right? And make sure that you have boundaries implemented in that, especially if other people are involved. But dig deep on what resistance are you feeling to sharing your story, because your story is your key to relating to your person. Your people buy from their friends. They buy from people that they feel like friendly with, connected with, they have a relationship with. You've probably heard a billion times that sales is relationship based. It's, unless you're selling like a $40 mini course, it is really, really hard to just get anyone off the internet to apply for your program, be the perfect fit, and, pay you $5,000 for your high ticket program. Your life will become a million times easier if you build a relationship. And relationships usually always start with some sort of commonality, right? Something that you have in common. And your story is an incredible place to find that. Because once you share your story and the two of you find that commonality, you have something in common. You have something to talk about. So if it comes down to you being able to help them and you suggest that you get on a discovery call to chat through it, that discovery call is going to be so much easier because you know this person. You know their struggles. It's kind of like talking to a friend. Your energy will be there. You will be a lot more present in that. So the biggest thing that I want you all to take away from this episode here is asking yourself, am I owning my niche or am I holding myself back? And if you are not a 5,000% hell yes, I'm owning my niche, I beg you to please explore that, because you are here for a reason. You went through what you went through to now be able to help the people in your position, the past version of you, get to the other side. You have purpose. It's time to own that purpose. It's time to honor yourself and own who you are and what you bring to the table. Because I know that I may not know you. You and I may have not sat down together before, but I can promise you, and I do not say that lightly, that you have a seat at the table. You have something to bring to the table. You are worthy, and you are fully, fully, fully capable of making a huge impact in people's lives. And now it's time for you to own the crap out of that.
If you enjoyed this episode, please be sure to subscribe, rate, and review this podcast and share it with your fellow aspiring entrepreneurs. Thank you so much for listening, my friends, and I'll talk to you soon.